So if you went to school in the UK, you probably remember when you were in year 6, which is about 11 years old, you were given your first sex education lessons. And if you were in a small school like I was, you had all the boys and girls together in one class doing their sex ed to start off with, and then you get so far through and the girls would be taken off into one classroom and the boys into another classroom, and you would talk about specific things related to that particular sex when it came to sex education. Now firstly, bear in mind that that was in the 90s when I was around, so things may have changed since then slightly, but I guarantee at that age, if you're a boy, you still don't get told about periods because the system doesn't think you need to know about that. But I say differently. So now, if you walked up to a man in the street and you asked them what they knew about periods, they'd be like, "Oh, I don't know, that's a woman's issue, I don't know anything about it." Or they might say, "Well, my girlfriend is always going on about them." And the reason is simple, is because they've never been taught about it. They've probably been taught in biology class that an egg is ovulated and the womb lines, and every 28 days the lining of the womb releases and woman bleeds. But every person with a womb will tell you it's a little bit more complicated than that. But you might ask, why do men need to know about this? It doesn't affect them directly, surely. Well, actually, I think it does. Now, particularly for straight men or bisexual men that are dating a cis woman, understanding how periods work and why they're so stressful for people with the wombs, it makes your relationships better, more understanding. And understanding relationships is frankly half the battle a lot of the time. But there are plenty of other reasons why you need to know. So say you're an employer and you need to be mindful of some of your employees who need a bit of extra help, a bit of extra time off potentially during the month. If you have an understanding of why, then you can be more compassionate about it. It is ignorance which is the problem, but the ignorance is the fault of society and education not teaching you this. So I'm here to give men at least a little bit of understanding about periods and why, you really need to know about them. Now, I don't think I'm an expert in this by any stretch of the imagination, but I've got a few facts for you and they're going to be pretty useful, I think, in future. So fact number 1, on average, somebody loses about 25 to 35 millilitres of blood during their period, which is about the size of a shot glass. During a normal 28-day cycle, day number 1 is usually the first day that you start bleeding. However, this is not the case for everybody. Often cycles could last between, say, 21 and 35 days, and for somebody who is just coming on their period, whether that be they're in adolescence or they've just come off the pill or something like that, then the cycles tend to be longer and then shorten over time. It may also be the case that somebody's cycle is longer if they're using contraception such as an IUD or certain types of pill, whereas other types of pill will actually stop periods altogether. Actually, this is a good time to interject about the contraceptive pill. The reason why the contraceptive pill works is because it tricks your body into thinking that you're pregnant, which therefore doesn't release an egg, and if you are on such a pill, therefore your lining of the womb doesn't thicken, etc, etc, etc. Pain as part of period is completely normal. Not everybody will feel pain, but a lot of people do. Also, people feel pain just before they come on their cycle. So for example, the person might feel pain in their breasts or in their sides, it depends on the person. And partly because of this pain, but also because of hormonal reasons, people also feel stressed before their periods, and obviously this is called premenstrual stress, as you may have heard. And this is a time to be comforting and sympathetic and aware and accommodating, effectively. And what is important is that because women feel this pain and stress differently, it doesn't mean just because Sandra is absolutely fine every single month, it doesn't mean that Betty is putting it on when she feels very bad. Now perhaps if you are in a straight relationship, a man and a woman may want to use periods as partly as a contraception method, or maybe conversely as a method of conceiving. So as the person with the penis in that relationship, it might be a good idea to learn about your partner and become more tuned into what affects them in their period. It's a great way of becoming closer to your partner and building your relationship. And also knowing when you can have sex and when you can't, or when you need to use contraception, or when you should be safe not to, for conceiving, that is, not necessarily for any other reason. That's good for both people in a relationship. Now this, of course, is just a brief overview, but I hope it's given you some better ideas, better understanding about why periods happen and why you need to know about them. There are videos on YouTube from other creators, some of which I'll link down below in the description, which will give you a much better understanding and much more than I can tell you. And you don't have to know everything, but every single bit of knowledge about this means that you are less ignorant and therefore less likely to say the wrong thing. I hope this video has been useful and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like it, then why not give it a thumbs up just down below. Please subscribe because I make videos every single week, and I shall see you next time. Bye bye.